Hello class, welcome to Module 4. Congratulations on making it through this far. So I know a lot of you have been asking questions or you're slightly confused with the equity position paper. So I wanted to do a very quick video just to give you a summary of this paper to hopefully draw any of your anxiety out and figure out how to fix that. So the goal throughout this course was to build to this paper. So in each of the modules where you had a deliverable assignment, those things asked you to look at policies and to look at why policies have been put in place and evidence that either supports those policies or goes against those policies. We've asked you to use your opinion a decent amount as you're going through this to try to flush that out before we get to this part. The equity position paper is about policy that is research-based at this point. So we're asking you to consider the things that we've talked about in class, and some of those are discipline policy, your student activism, attendance policy, just overall access to resources and programs. A lot of those things you've already brought up and you put into play in your tables that you turned in during Module 2. So a lot of the background work to this you've already done as part of your Module 2 work. So now this is where it becomes just a little bit more involved and a little bit more difficult. So I wrote up a teeny tiny summary of how I would expect this to look whenever you kind of turn it in. So this is a research-based analysis of a policy in your system, your school, or your classrooms. So keep that in mind that it's research-based. It's not opinion-based in this one. So we've been fleshing out your opinions so that you can kind of get through that and work through some of the policies that you agree or disagree with, because you could actually choose a policy that you agree with and show that it's making equitable outcomes already, or you can choose one of those policies that you didn't agree with and show how it's not doing what it's supposed to do, or that there's barriers to success built into the policy. So you can break this thing down into 4 sections if you'd like. The first would be the policy statement and summary. So in the policy statement and summary, you are simply going to state the exact policy as it is written, and make sure that you summarize who this policy was made by, who it's supposed to impact, all of the kinds of information that we built into that table in Module 2. Your second section is going to be a critical analysis of the policy. So this is where you're going to use research as evidence to discuss the policy as you see it. Discuss the things that are working, not working. You can use Khalifa as an example of a leadership model for this one. You can also go into the Ed Leadership models that articles that we've already looked at. You can also, I highly suggest this, go into the Hoover Library, the online Hoover Library, and look at other Ed leadership resources to kind of support your idea about this policy. Because this is going to be whether you agree or disagree with the policy, but you need to explain it from that point of view of a research paper where you're trying to sort of argue and persuade someone to see your opinion and to see your side. The third section is going to be the counterpoints. So think about those people who would disagree with you. And I know sometimes it's hard to find some evidence that would disagree if you have a policy that's so outright not good for schools. But you might look into, especially those of you who may choose some larger policies that have been represented in the news, you can actually go to interviews or previous statements from the Board of Ed of a certain system, the principals, the teachers, union. Any of those things could help to serve as evidence for you. Also, you could look at, with those counterpoints, like just describing what the counterpoint looks like and then going back to your argument and flipping it and using things that would go against the counterpoint in this section. And finally, the last section for you is going to be the summary section. And in the summary, of course, thinking about this as a research paper, you're going to be doing your summary of your policy and what you've learned through the policy, and then, of course, your recommendation. So this is a place where you get to use your opinion because your recommendation should be built on the evidence that you already have for the policy, but your recommendation of what should happen to this policy. So should this policy remain? Should it be adapted? Should it be completely excluded and rewritten? What do you think should be done for this policy to make it better? Okay, so if we go back to the original write-up, I have a couple of different things in here that might help you. Just a couple of questions that could help you to build out. Please make sure, no matter what, that you do your APA in-text citations and you also include your reference page at the end, because again, this will be a research paper, so you will have multiple resources that you're using, either those directly from the course the entire time or things from outside of the course that you have found that you believe will be extremely helpful to you. So you'll also see off of the equity paper in this module, I've cut this module down just a little bit to give you some additional time. So you have very little reading, but in addition to that, you also have only these 3 easy sort of solutions. So these give you just places where you can always go in and do your opinions. So you have 3 kind of easy-ish discussion boards where you're just giving your opinion. One of them, this one is a graphic presentation. You know how I love those. And of course, this one actually looking at critical self-reflection and the CRSL behaviors that we're learning about in Chapter 6. So you have very little reading in this module to get through in order to get everything completed to move into the project. So hopefully you guys have gotten into reading, that you've already started onto the project. That was the goal of not having an assignment during Module 3, was to allow you the time during Module 3 to start doing your research, to start looking at that end product to get it complete. I do want to remind you that the end product is due on March 4th by midnight, the end of the day. So please make sure that you get that in on time. These tend to take, the end products always take a little bit longer to grade, and grades are always due right after the course ends. So it helps me to be a lot more precise in my grading, getting them in a little bit early. So you only have officially 2 weeks left in the course, guys. And then you're hightailing into the final course of this Equity and Excellence in Education cohort. Very proud of the work that you're doing. Please continue to push. And if you have any other questions, please feel free to email me. Doing this video very quickly, but again, I'll be without my laptop for the remainder of the day tomorrow. So good luck to you. I really appreciate all the hard work you're doing, and I hope that this short summary of things has helped you.